Hello everyone, welcome to the show. It is LCS 2020 Spring Playoffs, and Golden Guardians, the number 6 seed, will be facing FlyQuest, the number 4 seed, and they're going to aim to climb throughout the lower bracket. My name is David FlyQuest, joined by my one and best friend, Sam.
I actually have never heard that before, but that works really well, Freak. High five.
That's good. That's good. So this is exciting. There's the high five. I like there's going to be like a 4-second delay on this one because I saw the visual on the program feed going through the internet, the wonderful world of live production in quarantine. It's going to be an exciting series, though. I really think Golden Guardians had a really, really hot surge at the very end of the split. FlyQuest did have a rough and tumble loss to Evil Geniuses, but somewhat expected based in the seeding.
Yeah, and that's right. And if we could catch up really quickly, Golden Guardians, even though they're coming in as the lower seed to this match, they won the last time around. It was that Week 9 match. Goldenglue on the Zoe was a big story of the entire weekend because he went 3-0 on it, got Golden Guardians here. So I expect, the Zoe as well as some of these support picks to be the focus very early on here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be important to watch for. Right now, we're seeing Golden Guardians put out a fairly typical Syndra ban. We're seeing this more and more and more over time, that Syndra is being banned away very early on in the series, often against blue team. Meanwhile, FlyQuest, I think intelligently so, getting rid of huhi's Tahm Kench and FBI's Aphelios. Those are two champions they've both played very well on.
Yeah, FBI, definitely one of the rising stars on Golden Guardians as well. I think those two carries got to keep your eye on. Aphelios, pretty much generic early round pick. FlyQuest, let's see what we can start with here. And they actually lock in the Aatrox first pick for solo, just as a versatile blind pick. I'm a little bit surprised here, actually. Thought they would focus a little bit more towards bottom half of the map.
Yeah, I guess they really want Solo to have a good one-on-one matchup. I think top's going to be really interesting here, to be honest. These are two players who have played against each other a lot over the last several years. FlyQuest finally, I think, cementing themselves on playing Solo in top lane. I think that's very intelligent. I think he has been a better performing top laner than Viper, and FlyQuest are kind of solidifying on that being their style. I think that's going to be correct for them. And with him on Aatrox, I mean, he's a very aggressive player. He's got the highest first blood rate of any top laner in the LCS, and so you take the aggro matchup, and instead of something like Ornn, because he can maybe bully that one out. Meanwhile, Golden Guardians going for what seems to be out of almost nowhere, although she did get buffed kind of recently, Kalista Taric, an incredibly strong duo lane.
Yeah, this is the focus for bottom lane that I was looking for in this matchup. I think Golden Guardians are all over it. Kalista, first pick right now. You mentioned for bottom lane, it can also be flexed to top lane, but seeing the combination with the Taric already, you think, all right, that is their bottom lane lock-in. The ultimates work so well together. They can both make the other one immune, and it gives you a whole bunch of playmaking around the dragons early on into the game.
Yeah, meanwhile, FlyQuest get their own dynamic duo, of course, with the Xayah and Rakan. Rakan should be able to pretty easily dodge away from any Taric stun. There's a huge telegraph and all of that. And in general, I feel like there's enough mobility here to survive the 2-on-2. And if you get a good engage on Kalista, you can win the 2-on-2. Should be a very exciting bottom lane. I think there's a lot of power on both sides. I will say, I think Xayah pretty definitively outscales Kalista. But what Kalista provides is a good way to use Taric with his ultimate. So, I think the duos scale similarly on an 80k to 80 carry level. I would take Xayah.
Yeah, and I really like the skill involved in this matchup. If Xayah can land the Blade Collar on the Kalista, which is difficult since Kalista has passive hops built in, then you get to lock him up for the Rakan to be able to combo, and you can take him down. That gets a lot more difficult at level 6 once the Taric can ulti the Kalista, but sometimes you can even burst her before that drops. Moving pretty quickly along here, though, the Ornn shows up once again. No surprise to anyone who's been watching professional League of Legends for the past 2 months. Even with the slight nerfs, that does still scale extremely well and is going to allow some more power into that Kalista that you're talking about. You get a little bit more stats by upgrading items.
Yeah, Blue Ranking helps a very little bit here. Closer, who has been one of the very best performing junglers. He was number 2 all team voting, so absolutely huge standout so far this year. And I think hands down the best player on Golden Guardians, gets his most played in Jarvan. As we saw, FlyQuest threw the ban at Zoe. Goldenglue won a bunch of games in Zoe at the very, very end of the split. Part of that surge, part of that win they got against FlyQuest, as well as Pantheon, who's also been rising the ranks as a super top tier, mostly jungler, can be flexed, but ends up being probably a jungle ban in this case. So it does mean Golden Guardians get counter pick in mid lane. They have obviously Ornn going top lane. Kalista is definitely in the bottom lane here. Jarvan's going to look pretty good. FlyQuest need a jungler, and then Goldenglue gets counter pick.
Now, FlyQuest, they have had PowerOfEvil on LeBlanc previously, and he didn't do poorly on the champion per se, but it did feel like the team didn't play that well around this type of champion. PowerOfEvil as a mid lane player, highest damage per minute of any player in the LCS, usually is on things like Victor. You expect long range wave clear, high damage output later on. With LeBlanc, you do have to control vision a lot. You look for these picks, these bursty, higher risk moves. But one thing that I would say, I always do like seeing LeBlanc's pick later when they know that there's no easy point and click answer to that poke. If you distortion in and you know that you're going to be able to get off your combo on LeBlanc, it becomes a lot easier towards the late game where people sometimes feel like she falls off because it's harder to navigate team fights. Looking at this Golden Guardians lineup, nobody's going to be able to punish that LeBlanc when she goes in for the distortion.
Definitely agree. Ornn's got a huge telegraph. Jarvan's got a huge telegraph. Kalista and Taric take forever to get that to go off as well. So yeah, I think PowerOfEvil has a playground here to play with on that very elusive LeBlanc. I think as their best player, I think he is well equipped to make good moves. But you're right, again, to the point that the team fight prowess of LeBlanc specifically is not quite as high. That said, Solo's been playing well. I expect good things out of the Aatrox. I think out of bot lane, you've got Xayah Rakan. That's going to have great late game scaling as well. So this is a comp where, though I tend to agree, I think PoE is awesome on control mages, on teamfight mages, the comp at least supports playing LeBlanc both on their side and the opposing side. This should be a fun one to watch for. About to get ourselves into game. It's going to be really exciting to see in this best of 5 who's going to strike first blood in this match. The loser is out of playoffs. We'll see them in summer, but their season will otherwise be over.
Yeah, it's getting intense here, Freak. First team will be eliminated from playoffs here today. Who's it gonna be? Best of 5 starts off here with, some pretty heavy scaling on the top half of the map for Golden Guardians as well. Goldenglue actually, as a mid laner, has the highest jungle presence difference, which means that he gets camped a lot less by enemy junglers, but Closer does spend a lot of time pre-15 around that mid lane, at least enough to be within range, warding around mid lane and ganking for Goldenglue. So we may see that come into effect here because LeBlanc and Rek'Sai always is a pair that you expect to look for kill pressure. And that is going to be something Goldenglue will have to deal with as one of the players with quite a few of those solo death stats.
Definitely the case. It's fun to look at kind of the historic stats of a team now that all these teams have played a full regular season. You can kind of take a pretty strong look at how exactly they play the games out. Golden Guardians going for an aggressive invade towards the bottom side of the map. They find the ward to kill. Suddenly, Santorin, who wanted to start red buff, maybe doesn't get to. You're seeing IgNar and WildTurtle wait around. Maybe they re-engage on the red. Huhi spots Santorin. They should expect the duo lane. And in fact, as FBI shows, they know it's a 3-on-3 right now. Right? As soon as you see more than just the one champion, like, okay, they've actually stayed with all the full squad. IgNar is now going to spot out the fact that, yep, okay, they're still trying for this one. Santorin, though, is not wasting any time. He's saying, you know what, screw it. We're going for Krugs. I'm going to take this camp down. It's worth more gold and more XP than the red buff. And if you don't use the red buff to get a gank off, ultimately you traded a camp for a camp, and it's not the worst thing in the world. But Closer, this is interesting actually, he walks by a ward. Now that ward was known. You can see the health bar only at 1/3 right there. He knows he had to walk by a ward when doing this. Golden Guardians are already attacking it. So gets the red steal, gets back out to his jungle, but keep in mind, even though it was stolen, Santorin did get a valuable camp.
And Closer has been very good for the Golden Guardians in the early game. He quite frequently has gone for these types of invades, stealing away first red buff of their opponents. This instance is purely a champ select invade for Golden Guardians. They have the stronger level 1 on the bottom half of the map with Jarvan, Kalista, Taric, and so they're able to bully FlyQuest off of it. Santorin Doesn't fall super far behind though, as he is able to start the Krugs while they're taking the red buff, and then he transitions into a very quick Raptor camp. Should still be able to get level 3 on his blue quadrant. Meanwhile, Closer already level 3 on the Jarvan. We'll look to see what sort of early plays he can make. Still has actually 1 charge in his refillable potion too, and he's standing still.
Oh, nice reflex. Santorin gets the knockup on Closer to prevent taking any damage, or sorry, to prevent getting knocked up himself from Closer. Gets away from this one. Nicely played. Closer can try to fight for this scuttle, but it's not going to happen. We can take a look at the fact that, well, Closer has an extra ward kill, but Santorin is going to momentarily be up a camp with that one going down. Okay, Closer's going to kind of finish out on the Raptors here, but end of the day, pretty decent start here on both sides.
Yeah, and remember, not all camps are created equal, as Raptors and Wolves are a lot less experienced. So even though that does show, there is significantly more experience in the other camps. Goldenglue still gets his flash forced, even though Closer was there hovering. Santorin just stays there because he sees him on the Rek'Sai passive and still forces it.
Fight on the bottom side. Stun's not going to land. The roots will. WildTurtle takes a pretty big hit. End of the day, though, they're both in pretty equal spots. Got to point out a small farm lead to the FlyQuest duo, though there is more gold left on the map. There's more CS for FBI to claim, so it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, shout out to the information asymmetry. Santorin stood still, used Tremor Sense, saw once Closer went back out to the left-hand side, it was completely safe. Solo and Hauntzer fighting back and forth. Solo with the early lead up here. Now, you were talking earlier about how aggressively, as they battle back and forth, shouldn't be much of a kill, how much Closer plays around mid lane. For the Golden Guardians, their mid laner and their 2 bot lane players are all top 3 in the league in forward percentage. They are usually constantly able to play aggressively, but the punishment for that is without time towards Hauntzer. Hauntzer is 9th in forward percentage. He never really gets played aggressively. He's always weak side under his turret. It's still the case here where Solo is pushing Hauntzer in and Closer sitting around bot lane.
Yep, and now they're daring them to come for these minions. But look how defensively IgNar and Turtle are playing. They let some of those ranged minions actually just die to the autos and don't overextend there, as Closer was hovering behind the Golden Guardians bottom lane. Now resets the top side.
And Goldenglue walks by a ward to spot out, see, okay, the blast plant is still alive, so Santorin didn't jump over the wall and take that. No tunnels either, so, you know, that Krug's, you know, they're safe for you, no problem, but Goldenglue is still hatching this ward, and keep in mind, he is flashless. Had to run back, you know, get his boots and refillable Endurance Blade, Santorin waiting in the wings. And there are several camps up. There's actually 3 left to clear. He's going to go for the chain. That's going to land, but can you dive Goldenglue? Santorin is not going to. He'll take a turret shot for looking, and end of the day, Goldenglue takes some damage.
This is where Golden Guardians should expect the focus. We said in the first 2 minutes, you know, LeBlanc and Rek'Sai are always looking for kill pressure, and having blown that flash, that is where the repeat gank should come for. So it's up to Closer to help out Goldenglue with some of the wards. You see 1 control ward in Closer's inventory right now, and during the time that Valkyrie is down for Goldenglue, he cannot step up to the minion wave, so he has to play defensively, stays at his turret. Santorin does take that opportunity though after the mid lane pressure gain to you know, have PowerOfEvil push in the wave and take first dragon.
All right, and hey, you know, shout out to FlyQuest. They're having a pretty good start here overall. They got some pressure in the bottom lane. Okay, technically they're down CS for a little bit, but they got the pressure down there. They got the Drake out of it. It's a good start for them overall. Santorin is completely matched with Closer in farm. Obviously, top is leading, mid leading a little bit in farm here as well, but as the minions get kind of crushed back and forth, we've got a fairly close game state where Golden Guardians are up gold from sort of random ancillary sources. It's right now a CS lead in the bottom lane, I think carrying that mostly, but I'd probably still take the Drake for FlyQuest.
Yeah, I think FlyQuest are pretty happy about the dragon. There is more pressure on Santorin to create action and get something done here in the early game, because as you transition towards team fights, there's so much more teamfight utility that you get from Jarvan, especially since professional Jarvans pretty much all go Conqueror, Cinderhulk, this very tanky build, and then you have your knockup from EQ, plus you have the Cataclysm, which brings so much to the teamfight. It's why this is one of Closer's most played, actually his most played jungler for the team.
Yep.
he's able to create a lot of the early gank pressure, which EQs, and then transition into a very useful team fight starter.
And Hauntzer getting pulled back by the chains right there. Can continue fighting in the top lane. Has a Bramble Vestra to start the matchup. Obviously, you're going to go basically full tank on Ornn always. And his Grievous Wounds option, of course, is the tank version of that one. Aatrox certainly gives up a ton. And now Golden Guardians, yep, 8 minutes are on the top side. I do want to point out that FlyQuest have one of the very, very worst first Rift Herald percentages in the league. They historically have not prioritized it well, or at least if they have, not won those fights. And as you can see, WildTurtle is in fact soloing down to the bot lane. IgNar has roamed up, but the Xayah cannot possibly get top without running all the way over. She shoves into that next wave, does run up, but now here's FBI and huhi already topside. They can push in top, they can fight for this ward. IgNar's to give that one up, and we'll see if and when solo recalls, as Hauntzer's Ornn comes down to bot side, but he can TP up there when needed.
And that, I really like bringing up that stat because it's an interesting story beyond the recent games that we've seen. This season-long story for the Golden Guardians with them running, with FlyQuest, with them running Viper in the top lane. They had very, very low success in a lot of these kind of top lane statistics, as we see Golden Guardians making good on their 8-minute swap. They even pulled in the teleport for Goldenglue back to mid lane with the package here. It's very, very difficult to challenge a team that has level 6 Kalista, level 6 Taric, as well as a package Corki. So FlyQuest definitely not going to improve any of the Rift Herald stats in this game as that one goes down, but they get the root.
Yeah, it's a big stun back as well. FlyQuest, though, honestly, with Guardian shields up for both supports, a lot of that damage is simply pushed back away. They can both heal, they can both shield, and their Keystone helps. So, end of the day, health bars are still pretty close to full, but look at the game state. Look, Corki's already topside. They've got the Rift Herald as well. This is going to be plate number 1, grab easily. Plate number 2, no problem as well. And I think most cases, Closer just summons the Herald and they get 2 more plates off that as well. But looks like they're going to play it more defensively. FBI is going to try to get one more. He's going to be safe. They're going to wait on the summon. I'm a bit surprised, to be honest. I think that would have been another 300 gold cashed in without any issues, but they might go on the next wave instead.
Yeah, I really do like getting the gold as quickly as possible because it really multiplies your power. The earlier in the game you can cash in, the earlier you can upgrade your jungle item. And that is so big for me. Even when you're going one of the lesser impact jungle items, yeah, it's only Cinderhulk, which doesn't have as big a power spike as a warrior or anything near a Runic Echoes. But still having that completion is such a big difference in any sort of the skirmishes that you take around the map. The counterpoint, and when I always talk to these pro junglers, they always mention the extra tempo that you can get using a couple of these Rift Herald empowered recalls to get back to base, which, you know, is a couple seconds. Personally, I really like having the gold power though.
The day Closer did play for the more defensive option. Now, it wouldn't have claimed the turret itself. That turret would still be standing. It would have just been the 2 plates. But yeah, chose the tempo play over the extra gold picked up. Ward comes down, control ward for defense. But no, it's FlyQuest who have the territory. And they're going to have to fight over this one. They will trade the wards back and forth. This mid lane is now fighting as well. Hexdrinker Rush came through for Goldenglue. Feels comfortable in the 1-on-1 against PowerOfEvil, who's probably not going Merc Treads himself. So a bit of an item, you know, friendly lead for Goldenglue, but is it going to be enough? As they're pushing down the mid lane. It's still a 300 gold lead to Golden Guardians, mostly now earned from those plates themselves. And we're waiting for that next big play, the next big spike. We've got the Ocean Break.
We're ready.
We've got. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
This team wants to use all of their ultimates, Freak. We just went over it last time. There's such good synergy here for the Golden Guardians, and they have the trump card of the Rift Herald in pocket for Closer, ready to use. They do get a recall off with a teleport ready for Hauntzer. And maybe they're just going to try and get some side lane pressure before this fight actually pops off. They completely cede control of the river leading up to this dragon. Closer even used one of his spites.
Well, it's running low. There's only a minute left on the Herald Summon, so he's got to use it before too terribly long. And FlyQuest kind of know this as well, right? That's a fairly easy thing to kind of keep in the back of your mind, to know that, okay, they got it around 9 minutes, they've got to summon it around 13. Second Drake is alive, and FlyQuest cleanly in control. Solo walked down, guaranteed it goes over to Santorin. and all Hauntzer can do is shove in a small wave. You've got a pretty big farm lead in the mid lane. Santorin's actually started farming really well. He's got a farm lead over Closer here as well. And even though Golden Guardians, yeah, they have a gold lead, in general, I feel like I would take those 2 Drakes. That's going to feel really comfortable.
Yeah, it leads into a win condition here for FlyQuest. These are very early takes on the Dragons as well. We're only 13 minutes in with 2 of them stacked up. So FlyQuest very clearly can continue to stack these Drakes, looking for the mountain. Right next, in 4.5 minutes, the Herald is summoned very deep in the jungle. There's still 40 seconds for the Herald to get to the turret plates if they want to try and cash in. And Closer's actually so far away that someone needs to get close to the Herald as well to get money for it. They increased the lead range, but she's under attack, Freak! Defend the Shelly!
They're gonna get nothing. No, Shelly's gonna drop. The weak point goes down, and you know, the retrospective analysis is, should you have summoned it way back when for the 2 plates? Was the 2 fast recalls worth it? In this case, no. In the average case, maybe you would have found a different opening, but end of the day, the first Herald of Golden Guardians earns them 100 gold because they killed the Herald. That was it. They got no other turret pressure. It meant nothing else for them.
All right, I guess we're going to have to invent a new stat. Not just Rift Herald control, but Rift Herald effective usage as well. Rift Herald efficacy here for Golden Guardians so far is at a 0.
Unlucky, but that's the way it's going to be for now. They still got the, you know, some push pressure at the very least top lane from their champions. And now we'll see 200 gold difference with FlyQuest on 2 Drakes. Mountain Rift, I think Mountain Drakes and Mountain Soul is going to be really, really good in a game that has some assassination power potential. As now Hauntzer and Solo battling fourth, going to flash away from the knock-up. Solo respecting the chance of a kill there from Hauntzer, but now Closer is back. The ulti is timing out, and Flash is gone. Can they find the slow for the re-engage? But now he backs off. Mini's going to go down. Closer will not find that game.
And we're going to have a reset here as well. You can see both supports roaming back out to the middle of the map to help out in preparation for Rift Herald number 2's spawn. The sister of Shelly is coming, and this is something that I want to point out for FlyQuest. They've had a tendency this year to keep Turtle split pushing even when they reset the rest of the team for objectives. And you can see right now, he just pushed that entire double stacked wave on the bottom side of the map into the tower. Hasn't gone back for a reset though, so he's sitting on the pieces of Essence Reaver. Meanwhile, fully completed Blade of the Ruin King for FBI.
Yeah, Ludenzeko, of course, completed there on the side of the LeBlanc of PowerOfEvil means very, very good poke. And on the other side, of course, Goldenglue himself is on components. Hexdrinker's good, Phage is good, Sork Shoes are good, but it's just not that Triforce power spike. So kind of worth figuring out if you know, either team is really stronger right now. It's kind of going to depend on which champions have the completed items done. I like the Shurelya's in there for the Taric. The whole squad can run super fast. I think the engage tools, not that bad for Golden Guardians, but of course FlyQuest, if IgNar pulls the trigger, he's ready to go in as well. Rakan, pretty much one-stop shop for starting team fights. Hauntzer and PoE gonna find each other. W's not gonna come down in time. He can't immune the knockups. This is gonna be first blood in the top lane. FlyQuest strike at 16 minutes.
Juicy power spike there, Freak. You just mentioned the Ludenzeko. Guess who's got no magic resist yet? Even though Ornn is a tank, he's got no tank stats against PowerOfEvil, and they find him in the tri-brush. This means you get a free Rift Herald number 2 set up here. Let's take a look at this replay as PowerOfEvil sees him on the ward and then makes a loop around, staying in Fog of War and waiting for Hauntzer to come because he knows he's going to come look for some of this vision. Chain lands, knocks him up. So he charged instead of trying to get an immunity as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's see the aftermath here for Rift Herald number 2 though as we get back to live.
First turret, there you go, cashed in.
Whoa.
FlyQuest Rift Herald efficiency, significantly higher than Golden Guardians. Solo first turret gold to PowerOfEvil, big chunk of change to him. Suddenly FlyQuest are up 14.
The big croak!
Plus the 2 Drakes. Oh, just barely! Hauntzer pops it in the eye, keeps the turret from taking half its health and damage, but it's
master.
really turned the corner. Yeah, that's true.
He's able to get both of them down, takes down both of the epic monsters. Meanwhile, mid lane, repush here for the Golden Guardians. They don't want to be outdone over and over with these objectives. Dragon stacking is a very real problem this early into the game. Mountain Drake is pulled out by them already. Ornn's far away, but can get a long-range ultimate here for Hauntzer.
Okay, here they're coming around. Hauntzer looking at it. Closer finds the knockup, dunks to the backhand side. Big immunity comes over, and they're trying to push down onto the top lane. Solo cannot live, and Turtle is pushed away. Still has flash, has heal, has the ulti, but Golden Guardians win the first team fight. Now, they did burn 3 ultis for it, 2 still available. Can FlyQuest re-engage the 4v5? Odds are low. Santorin is flashless, but could maybe take a tunnel back out. Here comes IgNar, wants to start it off. Finds the knockup, big dive with FBI, and he gets deleted, but it is traded back 1-for-1. Here comes the re-engage, they look for the stun. Feathers fly, almost gets a kill. 2-for-1 to Golden Guardians. They take that team fight. PoE, though, still wants in. As we mentioned, there's no good ways of stopping him. He'll root huhi in place. The Taric trying to run away, cannot find the stun, and PowerOfEvil might just find what he's looking for. 2 versus 4, and Solo TP's in. They'll find the route onto Hauntzer. Does not have MR, and the chase down works. FlyQuest answer one more kill finally.
FlyQuest, even though they're down in numbers, they have 2 carries alive, and PowerOfEvil chases the Golden Guardians all the way back to the turret here. The critical thing is that the dragon wasn't actually taken after the teamfight victory for Golden Guardians because FlyQuest make the call, hey, they don't have those key AoE ultimates available. We can actually fight down in numbers, and they pull off the assassination with IgNar and PowerOfEvil, the 2 old Misfits players, able to find the kill onto FBI, save the dragon for now. This is probably going to be a repeat here. I don't think they're giving up on this objective.
Yeah, well, nice by Goldenglue showed up and pushed off PowerOfEvil, prevented the Drake from being taken. So the recalls come in, the teams come slamming across the map, and there is TP advantage for Golden Guardians. So the longer Hauntzer can stay top lane, and Golden Guardians can kind of promote a dragon standoff, the more unanswered farm their top laner gets. Goldenglue going to start it off with the squad. They've got the wards for TP. They get rid of the wards that FlyQuest have, and here comes Ornn, looking now at Solo. He flashed away from the knockup, but Goldenglue pack is over, but now it means that the rest of the squad is stuck inside the pit. Looking at the re-engage, now Hauntzer walks in, finds the double knockup, closer chases, can't find it. They turn back to the Drake. Is it going to be a smite fight? Not just yet. They go back towards Solo. Once again, onto the Drake. Who's going to win the smite? Goes over to Santorin, but it's a 1-for-0. So far, they've picked up a single kill. Golden Guardians going to look to keep Goldenglue alive, just barely does so. Triple knockup for closer, and that means PowerOfEvil might have to run away. Just barely gets away. He's going to stay alive. WildTurtle flashing over the wall, stays alive there as well. PoE nearly takes down Goldenglue, but also keeps his health bar up afloat. But now another knockup for closer. That's going to be kill number 2. Shut down goes to Goldenglue. Golden Guardians find 2 kills in the fight, but they lose that 3rd Drake.
If they keep getting kills here for the Golden Guardians, though, this team fight with Kalista, Taric, Jarvan, Ornn ultimates is so hard to play around, and look how FlyQuest have to do it. They have to constantly disengage these big abilities. Corki package used there, Kalista ultimate used there. Now Ornn ultimate does find the final engage here, and FlyQuest have to continually avoid these big AoE teamfight usages. Then they finally go in, they get the dragon steal. Santorin comes up clutch as Solo goes down, distracting the rest of the Golden Guardians. Then they try and fight their way out of it with a lot of these cooldowns up for Golden Guardians. PowerOfEvil not able to finish off Goldenglue. Even with the corrupting potion ticking there, he can't get the last little bit of damage, and Goldenglue gets the laugh over the wall.
And now we get the try against Solo yet again. He's going to walk back to the lane, and without any more crowd control, Hauntzer, the only one who has any, doesn't really mean much. Hextrigger going to come back up for Goldenglue. Triforce is done. Big power spike is in. Keep in mind that that was what was really needed to have Corki have a better chance at these team fights. Might even see Mob before too long. Pickaxe could build towards that, could build towards Infinity Edge. Either, I think, is a defensible option. We'll see what he actually goes for. But the items are kind of scaling up. Hauntzer, pretty close to Abyssal Mask being done. Just needs the combined cost. That'll get upgraded. That'll be a nice power spike. Void Staff done for PoE means he can start killing these MR stacking champions pretty nicely. So we're scaling, and the champions dealing damage are going to get even scarier.
Yes, they are.
Ooh, Close window there. Closer might try the ulti, but they're all pretty good at getting away except for Santorin. Without the tunnel, has to burn the flash to get away. Ult for flash, you take that trade.
Yeah, these mobility spells are really important for FlyQuest as well, because keep on mentioning how good the Golden Guardians team composition is when grouped up as 5. They just want it 5-on-5 over and over, and it's up to FlyQuest to use mobility to their advantage to try and find these openings and create the picks for themselves. Because the barrier of execution on this FlyQuest composition is so much higher for what they have to do in coordinating a victory here. Now, as everybody does rotate back to mid lane, Solo does not have teleport, and Hauntzer is walking up the river right now. So this would be Golden Guardian's numbers advantage.
Okay, well, it's going to be a quick trade of cooldowns. Pee-wee just simply gets over the wall and chunks close up for a couple hundred health. Decent damage dealt there. 2-0 in turret, worth pointing out, right? Bot outer and top outer already dead. Golden Guardians yet to get on the map for any meaningful neutral objectives. Yes, they killed a Herald, but it didn't do anything for them. They haven't taken a Drake, they haven't taken a turret. They have only found team fight victories. So if they can win a fight and convert, that'll be worth a lot of gold, be worth a lot of power. But also keep in mind, we are 90 seconds away from the 4th, and for FlyQuest, final Mountain Drake. If they get Soul, that giant shield's gonna be so massive for them.
Yeah, it puts so much pressure on the possibility of a Dragon Steal here. Because even though FlyQuest, they don't want to run into Ornn, Jarvan, Kalista, Taric head on, they can poke around the sides as we've seen. And Santorin, PowerOfEvil all have a lot of mobility try and harass Golden Guardians as they're looking for that objective. And if you mess up one more smite, if you mess up one more objective, that gives FlyQuest so much more power, and then for the remainder of the game they can actually split push and play the side lanes with the added safety of these Mountain Dragon shields that will come in with the Soul. It'll be very difficult to actually pick them off or find any of that meaningful damage.
So momentarily we have a AD carry power spike difference. Turtle has red buff, that helps a little bit, but he is not yet at Infinity Edge. It's pretty cheap, it's only a couple hundred gold, so usually with this wave you have enough money to buy it, but time is running low, 25 seconds on Mountain Soul. Not sure you can reasonably take a recall there. Meanwhile, FBI has Ruin King and Hurricane, so right now I take Kalista in the team fight. With the level deficit, doesn't matter, I think the items are better, so that part's going to be meaningful. First Ornn upgrades comes through, and Goldenglue has the upgraded Trinity Force. That means mid is under attack. That's going to be mid-outer taken without issue. But 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds on the Mountain Drake coming up. Golden Guardians must be aware of that Drake spawn. They must play around it. They cannot give this away to FlyQuest.
And they even have the package. Here comes in the teleport, and we're going to see the flank play from FlyQuest.
Huhi is in danger, pops the ult. He's never going to get pulled back. FBI does not save his teammate. An easy assassination for PowerOfEvil, even chunks down closer. What a horrible fight for Golden Guardians, completely forgetting what to deal with their backline. And now it's package used for defense, and FlyQuest have control, but Golden Guardians have to defend. They have to try 4v5 because they can't give away Mountain Soul.
I feel like I'm going to need to look at that replay. My eyes deceive me. Was he locked up? This is great for FlyQuest. Starting up the Mountain Drake, still poking down on the Golden Guardians, 5v4.
Solo staying in the front line, finds Goldenglue! Nearly one-shots him, and Xayah does the rest. The flash forward for WildTurtle. FBI's days are numbered. They got to run away from this one. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Now Golden Guardians in an even worse spot. It's 3 versus 5. Their health bars are low. FBI lifesteals away, but he's right next to LeBlanc. Here comes the health bar. It's going to disappear, and it's gone. Shutdown goes through to PowerOfEvil, and simply
true magician.
5 again. Yep, Taric respawns, doesn't matter. Clean Drake pickup, FlyQuest with a massive lead. They got Mountain Soul.
Oh, it's playoffs, freak. You like some vintage WildTurtle coming out to play as well with the flash forward ultimate on Xayah? All defensive tools used offensively here for Turtle to find that extra kill, diving Goldenglue in the back line after Solo got a really good knock up there with Aatrox to start it out and set him up. And FlyQuest, in the face of a full 5-on-5 composition for Golden Guardians, they rushed Mountain Soul. They got the first 4 Drakes in a very timely manner and set themselves up quite nicely for game number 1 of this series.
Yeah, so you can see at the very top of the screen, it's 42,000 to 41,000 gold. that looks really close. You're like, oh, this is totally winnable. But the big difference is those 4 Drakes picked up. 4 is the magic number. It's Mountain Soul. It's a 300 health shield per champion. And that in and of itself is nearly 1,000 gold per player. It is just incredible, and FlyQuest are so heavily favored because of their Drake control, because Santorin just a little bit to help bot lane. WildTurtle and IgNar won the 2-on-2 mostly heads up, and honestly what should have been a fairly difficult matchup, but they played it well, and that control gave them the Drake, and it's going to be why FlyQuest are going to be hard-pressed to ever lose this game.
Yeah, I've heard and seen a lot of people looking at WildTurtle and oh, now we've got a lot more.
Ulti burn, doesn't have a way out. Taric's going to give the invincibility. That's a shutdown for 1. TP comes in for a bit more. The assassination is nice, but look how low Goldenglue is. There could be a trade kill before too long. Regardless, for now, Golden Guardians get a kill, but 450 gold is not going to sort of turn around what's been happening in this game.
Yeah, they're looking at Turtle, all right. They use Taric ultimate, Jarvan ultimate, and Goldenglue also. Got burned down for 90% of his HP. It's not enough though. He teleports right back out, and we'll bring that Golden Guardians pressure to get some vision here around Baron. I doubt that they actually go for the start though, seeing as how they don't have 2 of those key ultimates.
Ooh, this might be a bit of a play. Santorin, though, has the tunnel to get away, still has flash if he needed it. Goldenglue chunked to half. He's got to be respectful. The guy doesn't have a lot of lifesteal. All right, he isn't in precision, so there's no room for Legend Bloodline. Doesn't have a Doran's Blade. It is purely base health regen, and then, you know, probably has some, what is it, Ravenous Hunter stack, so he's got some regen, but, you know, if he takes poke, it's mostly going to stick onto him right now. And now FlyQuest looking to take territory right back, right away. WildTurtle respawns, they're ready to take over the rest of the map. You can see now, looking at this one, IgNar is going to take a stun, but you can see Golden Guardians hesitant, not willing to go for the fight. Now a potential knock of Hauntzer, forced to flash away, big damage out of PowerOfEvil, closer, forced to retreat, and look how low the health bar gets. FlyQuest in control of this game, in control of this map.
Let's see if they can control the Baron then, because Golden Guardians, nobody goes down. Although Closer does have to refill his health bar, should be able to get back to the Baron in time. 9k on the Baron and counting.
IgNar goes in, can't find the knockup, won't find much of a charm. Hauntzer wants in, can't get anything either, and that is Hauntzer dropping down 1 for 0. Taric comes down, immunes the entire squad. Is the re-engage good enough? 4v4, solo drops. They get Turtle as well. There aren't any carries left except for the 2 of them. Santorin gets 1. Now it's back to a 3-on-3, but he is stunned. And FBI has been untouched. Will they find the knockup into IgNar? Yes, they will. Is it going to be enough? He jumps over the wall. Back in goes PowerOfEvil. That stun hits 2. Closer finds the slow. Can Golden Guardians chase it down? If they get these kills, the Baron is theirs. A nice juke comes in. Huhi has to be respectful. They find a slow into IgNar. They find another stun into PowerOfEvil. Jumps over the wall. The lance isn't going to be enough. And I don't think Golden Guardians off that damage can go for Baron. That means it's going to be a reset. Yeah, they win the fight 3-2, but can they get any more? That answer is no.
The slipperiest champions in League of Legends, freak. A LeBlanc and a Rakan running all over this blue jungle. Let's take another look at how it started out. FlyQuest know they can't be in the Baron pit versus all these AoE ultimates, but I believe Hauntzer misses his knockup here. Does he get charmed? No, just actually missed it. So Hauntzer doesn't get the second knockup there on the Ornn ultimate. Big whiff for him. Golden Guardians, though, still have so many more tools. We've stated so many times about how good their 5-on-5 is because of that. You know, Taric immunity and Jarvan with a secondary engage for them will do the work that they're missing with the Ornn ultimate. And so they do come out at very slippery champions with multiple dashes in them as PowerOfEvil, also making use of the passive here. Very nice distortion back because FBI actually didn't follow on the chase and was doing Gromp instead. And it might have been more dangerous to go back to that distortion if FBI was right next to Huhi there.
Yeah, I think he went for the lifesteal because he was afraid of getting chunked out by LeBlanc round 2, but yeah, he had to burn all his tools to escape. It was the tight call. I think, you know, I think it's debatable to go either way in that one. Have enough health so LeBlanc doesn't kill you and turn the fight, but also, yeah, knowing when it's a chase down. Regardless, it ends up being +1 kill to Golden Guardians. And now here comes the next major objective. Elder Dragon is spawning right now. If you thought Mountain Soul was going to win FlyQuest the game, so far it hasn't quite done it. You know, they've been fighting pretty closely, but Elder Dragon is so much power and FlyQuest ready to go. You've got Solo coming down for the flank as well.
And this looks good for Golden Guardians because they can get their standard 5-on-5 setup. Now that they can have this grouping with the Jarvan and the Ornn in front, they should have plenty of time for Taric to come down. As long as FBI actually, ults huhi if he's low, if he's in dangerous position, as long as they are able to use these team fights ultimates in concert, Dragon's going down.
You gotta watch out. Smite steal against Rend is difficult. I think Golden Guardian's gonna try for this one. Can they coordinate? Santorin gets the steal. A quick shield comes in, but is it gonna be enough? Closer is burning down. Golden Guardians, I can't believe they missed the Smite Rend combo, but it should look well for FlyQuest. Health bar is a bit low, but a single auto kills Closer. He's trying to get over Santorin. If he lands the Q, I think that actually kills him outright. He has to flash it to live, and FlyQuest, this is the time to push for a victory. PoE tries, gets the shutdown on Closer.
I'm glad it's not just me, Freak, because when there's Kalista's on my team and I'm jungling, we pick a time. We both say we're gonna, rend and smite at that time. Okay, 1.5k health or something like that. Something that the enemy jungler cannot possibly outsmite. Sometimes you just mess up the timing, and I have messed that up. Looks like Golden Guardians as well aren't able to combine with the damage sources at precisely the right moment. And Santorin, my goodness, he has absolutely just destroyed this game. Such good objective control for him, for FlyQuest. Not only do they have Elder Dragon and the Dragon Soul and Baron buff on top of it, but you get to put that one on your resume, my friend.
Yeah, beautiful stuff right now. FlyQuest doing far better than the gold lead suggests. Their objective control has far surpassed everything Golden Guardians has done so far in this game. A lot of that is Santorin smiting. That third Drake was a smite fight. The Elder Dragon was a smite fight. He won both of them, and they have absolute control right now. Golden Guardians have to wait out this minute-long Dragon buff. They've got to wait out 2.5-minute Baron buff, and I think FlyQuest should be able to at least crack tier.
You're going to have to do some CSI work on these steals of objectives where you can go back and look at the replays. We're going to slow them down to 25%, enhance it, see exactly what went wrong, if there's any sort of stuns on FBI or why they weren't able to combo the damage here. FlyQuest will be able to do that after the series, though, as they march forward with all of the epic buffs.
And they're ready to go. Middle inhibitor, not a problem at all. The turret drops, and if you don't fight for the turret, don't fight for the inhibitor. They're going to sit around a little bit for some wave clear, and the choke point's close enough that FlyQuest are going to back off till the next wave comes in, but top's being shepherded in, and Golden Guardians should be hard-pressed to win a fight here as long as FlyQuest ready to defend. Shut down. Oh my word. PoE over the wall just completely destroys FBI. Didn't have a chance to press barrier. Didn't pop QSS. He's gone. Mid inhibitor is out. Still got a minute and a half on Baron, and FlyQuest not showing signs of stopping. A 5v4 push sounds pretty good to them. As Solo walks in the front line, a little bit of poke under that turret, a knockup, not going to mean a whole lot. Here comes the charm, attempted knockup, not yet going to get PoE, not yet going to get Goldenglue, but Closer gets the shield, so does huhi and Goldenglue. Doesn't really matter though, it's not going to be any kills coming across. Still safe to siege. FlyQuest pushing back to the top side. That mini wave was already there. Second inhibitor, going to drop no problem. 15 seconds on FBI to respawn, easily clear the wave away, and FlyQuest might just take his last minute Baron buff to reset one more time and siege for the bottom lane.
We just saw on screen. It's nice to play a late game LeBlanc when the enemy team has no point and click CC to stop you going in for poke like that. There's nobody that can answer PowerOfEvil when he goes for an offensive play like that. And PowerOfEvil has been able to build full damage LeBlanc. Doesn't have to get a spell shield or anything for himself to worry about. So FBI gets to be the one on the receiving end of a full magic penetration, death cap, and a Medjai Soul Stealer LeBlanc combo.
Oof. Jeez, FBI. Okay, he ruined King's
You
Flash.
commiserating with him, Freak? With your AD carry
yeah,
life there?
I mean, I'm getting flashbacks to Ray's full lethality Jarvan top. I'm just laughing at him one-shotting a Sivir. This is getting to that point, but it's not 1 in 100 games. It's 1 in every 12 games. LeBlanc does this. So this is PoE doing great work. He pushes back Hauntzer. Bot lane tier 2 is completely gone. Elder Dragon's gone, Baron's gone, but they've got the gold lead, they still got the soul, and FlyQuest looking well poised to take home game 1 in this best of 5.
Yeah, they did lose the one game in week 3. They did lose to get down here into the losers bracket, but they're not going to lose this game. 1 inhibitor tower left to go, staying on bottom side here. They're going to push in and keep the mid lane minions pushing as well, so the Golden Guardians really feel the pressure. My goodness, PoE can't be stopped.
He really cannot. 6-1 and 4. He's got plenty of damage here, and he's ready to keep going now. Bottom inhibitor turret under fire. At what point can Golden Guardians defend? So far, it is not now. They cleared the wave. That's the best they can do, but they can't fight the champions. IgNar gets back over the wall, nicely escaped. PoE looks for poke. Goldenglue loses 1/4 of his health bar instantly. PoE can try that again every like 12 seconds, and look, it's again the same thing. Closer, chunked to half HP. Goldenglue a bit worse for wear as well. They've got to run away from this one. Turret under fire. Turret's going to drop. Third inhibitor, a formality on this one. 30 seconds into Elder Dragon. Here comes the attempted play. Knockup's going to land on nobody. Turtle chunked low. Here comes invulnerability on the squad. Is the re-engage going to be enough? Can IgNar be a target? He's going to try and get away with it. Once again on a Hauntzer. PoE tries, can't get anything there either. And though the inhibitor lives, Golden Guardians engage does nothing.
Yeah, I mean, spam ping on the Nexus turrets there, because while it takes everything you have to fend off.
Oh! Well. That's the call.
Okay there?
That's it. He's gone.
Yeah, that might have been his call as well. Elder Dragon number 2 gonna go over to FlyQuest. At this point, I feel like they're just racking up. What's the best objective control stats that we can possibly get? We'll just get all the epic monsters. Yeah, there's another Baron coming up too. They're waiting around so that everybody can have more time.
I like this a lot, Kobe. Because right, the buff really lasts, what, 2.5 minutes? So they're getting it as late as possible to maximize the buff duration. This is like, this looks so troll, but it's so smart.
No, I mean, it also is going to line up better with Baron, because if you delay your Elder Dragon take, they'll have it enough time to not only take the Baron if they want, but then use the Baron and the Elder Dragon on top of each other to finish the game in a real style. All right, so objective control here, slightly in favor of FlyQuest, with the Mountain Soul Elder Dragon setting it up with complete control. For Golden Guardians, Freak, what's your game plan? You gotta go everybody bum rush as soon as you see them at your at an opening by your base, because that's really the only hope.
Is that Chrono Break doesn't work and you have to call the game and start all over again. This is a 2% win chance game right now, where it is theoretically possible if you find the perfect engage during a Taric ultimate and your whole squad's invulnerable. Maybe catch Turtle for about 20 seconds. He doesn't have flash. Maybe PoE steps too far and he walks into a Taric stun that you channeled from Fog of War. But the chances are so minuscule. You need to basically one-shot the backline. And by the way, Goldenglue might just burn down and die there as well. Gets a quick shield, just stays alive. But he, with the smallest amount of effort, already the fight's already over. Double inhibitor going to go down, no problem. Minions already on the Nexus turrets. You need to somehow one-shot the backline without dying yourself, and that is almost impossible.
All right, good luck to the Golden Guardians. Here we go.
Here comes the play. Knock up on the 2, but it's the frontliners who get hit, and vulnerability going to come in. When is the re-engage? IgNar steps up a bit too far. Closer finds a knockup, goes for the dunk. They might catch Santorin, already a 1-for-0. Stacking in the spears. FBI going to try his very best, and maybe, just maybe they find that kill, but it's only the Guardian Angel down. It's simply a 1-for-0, and FlyQuest can keep going. It's the rest of Golden Guardians forced back. That's the kill on a huhi solo. Grabs that one without issue. TP's come back into the map. First turret's going to go down. Second turret's going to follow. FlyQuest in a 5v3. They're going to chase down Goldenglue. There's the rest of the kills. There's the shutdown. Santorin will not get killed either. And that is the Nexus falling. That is FlyQuest taking game 1 of the best of 5.
FlyQuest planting some trees here in game number 1 of the series. Congratulations to them. hats off to Santorin here for the objective control, because they were staring down the barrel at a big team fight comp for the Golden Guardians. But if a team fight composition with Ornn, Jarvan, Taric, Kalista can't control objectives, can't even get the objectives with Ren Smite combos, then that team is not going to win. So really high praise here for FlyQuest, poking around and getting those dragons.
Yeah, it was an interesting game to watch, right? Because absolutely Golden Guardians had the tools to win, right? There were several moments that it went down to the wire. There were smite fights of Closer versus Santorin, and Santorin got the better of him. There were fights where it went down to 1 or 2 autos would have changed out the outcome. At the end of the day, FlyQuest was the better team. Objective control, Santorin smiting, Santorin's ganking, and PoE's team fighting were the difference makers there in that one. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, the State Farm Analyst Desk is going to break down the results of that game. Don't go anywhere.
Houston. Brightness is increasing. There it is. Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Cars like this don't come around often. The redesigned Type R, the most powerful Civic ever, from Honda.
Hello and welcome back to the LCS postseason. I'm Dash, joined by Crumbs and Mark Z to break down this best of 5 that's coming at you today. Already one game in, gents, and it was a crazy close one, which just excites me for what is in store for us through the remainder of this best of 5. Mark,
yeah, that game was insane. It was back and forth the entire time. Just look at that goal graph. 1.6K was the biggest lead that Golden Guardians had, and up until 32 minutes in the game, I don't think FlyQuest had a bigger one. So close.
Look at PoE's damage now.
On a LeBlanc too. Oh,
what?
God.
Wow.
What the?
56k damage, doing absolute work on that LeBlanc in the mid lane. We'll get a little bit more into his individual performance in just a moment, but I actually want to hit the reset button on our discussion, as we didn't have a pregame before our series today. And I want to talk to you about your predictions and your expectations for this series. We have the 4 seed in FlyQuest against the 6 seed in Golden Guardians. Now, between these two squads, what are your predictions, and what is the expectation of how these two teams would play at? Mark, let's start with you.
3-1 FlyQuest was my prediction. I swear these graphics were made by our graphics team before that game happened, okay?
I can confirm.
So, yeah, I'm very happy after the first game, but I will say it was closer than I thought it would. But we also saw some different picks, which I'm sure we'll get into.
All right. Crumbs,
Here you go. Very different.
Oh my.
I'm going with Golden Guardians, and I am very happy with that first game too, because it was very close. I liked the draft. The one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that PoE was giving too much rain. LeBlanc is a champion that you want to have a CC when she distorts in, and nothing on the Golden Guardians lineup had an answer to that. So I think that a slight adaptation in the draft should give them a very good shot, because they had some initiative in some team fights. They had a scaling element. It's just that PoE got ahead of them.
Well, split predictions from my analysts here, but both of you have a close series kind of laid out in front of us. Let's talk PowerOfEvil, though, in this game. We saw the 56k damage put out by his LeBlanc, but even without the damage numbers, just taking a look at the way he kind of picked apart the enemy team and spread the map, we expect this guy to be a top performer. He's 3rd All-Pro LCS already, but let's talk about what he'll need to do today in order to get them through this best of 5 and on to the next round.
LeBlanc itself was something we haven't seen that much out of PoE. We usually think of him as like the team fight guy, and having this champion, we've seen him on it before, and sometimes he's struggled in the mid to late game to really make things happen. Not the case this game, somewhat to Crumbs' point about not needing to be scared of anything when he distorts in, but still really picked his windows super well. That's, as far as I can remember, the highest damage I've seen out of LeBlanc. She can poke with like the distort QR in, so it's not like she can't get damage in outside assassination attempts, but even then, that's just an insane performance.
They helped him get to that point too, because Santorin, while he didn't find a lot of kills early, his routes were around mid lane, trying to find angles on Corki, just annoying Goldenglue more than anything, making him play far back, which freed up PoE to get to that monstrous, I think it was 14 Magi stacks at one point, which is just
got to 22 by the end of the game or something. Yeah.
Yeah, PowerOfEvil had the highest damage per minute coming into this game. I have to imagine coming out of it, he still very much holds that record. If anything, extended it with that performance. And now we kind of have to turn our attention towards Game 2 and how Golden Guardians might be able to pull their way back into this one. They, with side selection, have elected to go to blue side. I'll remind everyone that in the new playoff format, the loser of the previous game gets side selection. That's why Golden Guardians gets it here this time around. What kind of adjustments, Crumbs, I'll come to you first on this one, since you're the one who predicted Golden Guardians in the victory, and you said you liked that first game. What minor adjustments do you want to see on the other side of the rift here for Golden Guardians to turn this one in their favor?
The first one is banning the LeBlanc, or having an answer to the LeBlanc that is not Corki. And the second one, which is having an answer that's not Corki, is more for enabling Goldenglue. I didn't like the Corki pick. Corki relies too much on your team to have the initiation. It looked like Golden Guardians was not on the same page. They tried some really good engages, but they didn't quite have it down. So I want to see if Goldenglue can get his hands on the Zoe, or even maybe on a pick like Victor or Xayah, just something that allows him to start the fight and not just sit back and wait for his team to figure it out.
I thought the performance out of Golden Guardians was pretty good. The draft, I actually really liked from them. I agree somewhat on the LeBlanc point about having a little bit easier way of shutting her down if she gets rolling. But I think when I look at how their performance was in game, I'm looking at that Rift Herald usage, which wasn't optimal. They could have had that turret in the top lane, or at least a couple more plates. I'm looking at their bot lane with Taric, Kalista, not really having pressure and able to get anything done with it. Their solo lanes were very weak in the early game between the Corki and the Ornn, and it was a clear play around bot lane strategy, and they could not get anything going down there. So I want to see their bot lane step up a little bit more, and Closer be able to find some stuff in the early game. He still has some fantastic engages in team fights, but if you do pick a pressure point on the map, I need to see them actually play around it.
I was about to say, from a team play perspective, it almost felt like at times Golden Guardians was playing that game cleaner with some of their engages, on the back foot, coming out ahead in a number of team fights. But it was the control over the global objectives, those Drakes, and Santorin coming up big with a couple of smites. That third Drake was contested by both teams. Santorin got it. He also contested the Elder Drake and was able to snag that the first time around. And so when you start to think back through this game and the different moments that the result hinged on, again, it speaks to already, I think, the closeness of these two teams, perhaps being the closest series we'll have yet here in the postseason.
It absolutely, and it speaks to because it's so close. FlyQuest's draft is telling me the priorities that they want in their players. And the fact that Santorin went for the Rek'Sai to me tells me that he doesn't want to be the Jarvan that's just finding the engages for the team. He needs to be a threat in his own right. And that's what we saw. Whether he wasn't able to find those early ganks, it didn't matter, because later in the team fights, he could find the carry and just take him out of the team fight single-handedly, whereas Closer is reliant so much on Goldenglue, on FBI to deal damage, or even the Ornn to set up some ultimates. We had some fights where Ornn was missing ultimates. If that's happening, you cannot be playing Corki. Just drop the Corki, play something that sets yourself up if your team's not getting it right.
Yeah, we know the Zoe has been a favorite pick of Goldenglue. We'll see if they manage to get that one in priority when it comes through in the draft phase. One other big piece of info that we actually didn't have much opportunity to talk about is the fact that today FlyQuest went with Solo as the starter in the top lane over Viper. You'll remember that the first two games of their previous series, Viper did start. They took some losses, and then the series went 3-1 against them. This time around, straight out the gate, Solo's in the lineup, and they snag an initial victory. How do we feel about the way that Solo looked individually in this first game?
I thought he looked great. His scoreline wasn't super impressive. He wasn't completely error-free, but he got a CS lead and had pressure up in the top lane that eventually they were able to gank and get a kill with PoE. And then he played team fights pretty well. That was a really hard game to team fight against when you have a Taric, and he would kind of go in with IgNar, and they would get the Taric ultimate down. IgNar can get out of there because he's Rakan, and then a lot of times Solo was kind of left in the middle of the team. He would kind of die for it, but then he would usually do enough work so that when the Taric ultimate ended, you could have Turtle flashing in, who actually had a great game as well, with PoE to get the cleanup kills.
There were times...
Well, the series...
go ahead.
There
were times where Golden Guardians were trying to engage on Solo, and he is actually able to disengage pretty cleanly from one of those that bought enough time for the team to secure the dragon that set him up for that fourth soul. So just being able to dissipate the engage that the Golden Guardians comp had is, I think, a big point of strength for a top laner. Because if you just die, you lose the objective, nothing's done. But buying time for your team bodes well for him staying in the series.
Well, FlyQuest was able to snag game one. Golden Guardians is looking to snap back in game two. But either way, this series is looking to be a close one as we ramp through the day. We're going to head to a quick commercial break. On the other side, the casters will be there to pick it up and get you straight into game two of Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest. We'll see you soon.